Nation. Let's get it. Welcome to the House of Horrors. Don't mess with blue and orange. You best be scared, cause the swamp is filled with gators chomping. We are the Gator Nation, so loud we're devastating. We rowdy reptiles when we get down to earth, we shaking G-A-T-O-R-S. Now feel it, G-A-T-O-R-S. Now feel it, G-A-T-O-R-S. Now feel it, G-A-T-O-R-S. You got to get it. You got to get it now. You got to get it. You got to feel the crowd. We are the Gator Nation. We're gonna get rid out. We are the Gator Nation. Chop you up and spit you out. Yeah. Come on now. Welcome to the danger zone. This is our Gator home. This is our party, and I'm sorry, but you don't belong. You just found Gator bait. You about to meet your fate. Better run, don't hesitate. Better call your mom. Better start to pray. G-A-T-O-R-S. Now feel it. G-A-T-O-R-S. Now feel it. G-A-T-O-R-S. Now feel it. G-A-T-O-R-S. You got to get it. You got to get it now. You got to get it. You got to feel the crowd. We are the Gator Nation. We're gonna get rid out. We are the Gator Nation. Chop you up and spit you out.
Yes, that's what we do. Chop them up and spit them out, people. Okay, we're gonna end it. We're gonna end that right now here. You know, if I can do it right here. And yes, that's what we do as Gator Nation. We chomp them up and we spit them out. Only for Gators, they probably didn't do enough chomping Saturday night, but they still held their own. Make no mistake about it. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so happy that you could join me. I could just cry. On tonight's show, we thought we were going to have a lot of guests join us here, but a lot of them backed out, mainly because of Christmas and everything. So for the next hour or so, maybe 45 minutes, you got me and me only. However, we might have a very special guest joining us here in just a little bit. With so much that's been going on the past few days between trying to get ready for Christmas and everything, you tend to wonder. Of course, there was the fact that there was an SEC champ. There was a, oops, let me do that right there. I don't want to do that right there. See there? Trying to do something here, and I need to just shut this off. Let me do this right here. There we go. So, Saturday night, Florida, Alabama, SEC championship game. For the Florida Gators, they already came in with 2 losses under their belt, thanks to the LSU debacle that they had last week. Now, we all knew that this was going to be a tight game, make no mistake about it. The question was, would Florida hold its own and give the Alabama Crimson Tide a game, or was it going to be a bloodbath like most people expected? For the Florida Gators and their fans, even though it was a loss, I think Gator fans came away very happy with the results of what transpired. 52-46 was the final score in the game. And for the Florida Gators, they played very well during the course of the game, as they found themselves down by as much as, see, I got my notes here, people. I'll get them in just a minute, you know. And by the way, comments, if you want to comment in the chat room, go ahead and do so. I want to welcome those watching me on Twitter and on YouTube and also on Facebook Live. So happy you could join me here tonight. And I think we're going to have a pretty good show for you. Those are the stats. See, I had my stuff together and I lost it. But nevertheless, for the Florida Gators, they found themselves down by as much as 35, 21-10 at one point, 35-17. And yet the Gators did not give up. They battled back, and for Kyle Trask and company, he put on one heck of a show. 26 of 40 for 408 yards on the day, 3 touchdowns. Even though he got sacked for 5 times during the course of the game, Trask never gave up, and in the process, played very well for himself. Might even end him a late second, third round pick in the draft. if he should come out this year. More on that a little bit later on in the show. But the Alabama Crimson Tide, they just had too much for the Florida Gators. Mac Jones, 33 of 43 for 418 yards, 5 touchdowns on the day, 1 INT, and he was sacked 2 times on the day. And for the Florida Gators, everybody that thought that this was going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight turned out to be a pretty good ball game in the end for the Gators and the way they played. Now Alabama will go on. They're playing in the net. We'll play in the college football playoffs. We'll give you those 4 teams in just a little bit. So much is going on in the world of college football related to the Gators. A lot of news for the Gators that we'll get into, and for this team, even though the score doesn't reflect it, they put on a heck of a show. As I said, Trask was. I gave you Trask's numbers for the receiving core. Kadarius Toney had 8 catches for 153 yards. Kyle Pitts had 7 catches for 129 yards. Both of them called a touchdown each. Trevon Grimes had 4 catches for 78 yards on the afternoon. Let's see here. I'm trying to get some information on some news that we heard that we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. But for the most part, the Gators played very, very well. And they did the job that I think that they were supposed to do, was come in, slow Alabama down, keep the game as even as they possibly could. But once they fell early, they couldn't get behind the 8 ball. And for wide receiver Devontae Smith, he was an animal on that day. I believe he caught a couple of touchdowns on the day. I don't have Devontae's stats in here for some reason. I don't have him, but man, he played a whale of a game. And for some people, they think that he's a Heisman contender coming into the Heisman race. I don't know. I think Devontae played well, but if there's any receiver that deserves the Heisman, I'm for one. I'm all in on Kyle Pitts. The way that man played all year long was just amazing, and for him to go through the period of adversity and what he did during the course of the season, it's amazing. Pitts on Sunday announced that he was leaving school early and going into the national football, going into the 2020 NFL draft. Now, that news came out just a few hours before bowl selections were made, and as it turns out, the Gators will be playing on New Year's Day in Arlington, Texas at the Cotton Bowl, and they will be taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. That, my friends, is going to be an outstanding game. Make no mistake about it. And for those who are wondering about Kyle Trask, that's an interesting scenario that's taking place even as we speak. Now, as we reported on last week's edition of Insider, we told you that Trask's father, Michael Trask, posted on Facebook that his son Kyle was going to leave early after the college football season and enter the NFL draft. Saturday night following the game, a very dejected Kyle Trask spoke, and he said, quite frankly, he doesn't know if he's going to play in this year's, if he's going to go into the NFL draft. He's going to sit down and talk with his family and make a decision. But he did say today that he plans on playing in the Cotton Bowl, which is going to be 1 week from tomorrow in Arlington, Texas. So it's really quite a turnaround for this Gator team. Now, begs the question about this Florida Gator team. What changes in your mind needs to be made? Love to hear some comments from you. Post on them and give me your thoughts on what do you think the Gators should do. Now, we know that they lacked offensive line help. They need offensive line help desperately. For an Alabama team that sacked Kyle Trask 5 times on the night, that's unacceptable. Make no mistake about it. It is unacceptable. And when you consider, and yes, we know that Alabama is a very good team. But for a team like Florida, they should be able to handle them. Now, Is it about coaching? Is it about the players that you have? It might be a little bit of both. And there's going to be some questions in the offseason about the future of this Florida Gator coaching staff. Now, I can tell you that we all thought that coming into Sunday that some news would come out that Todd Grantham will no longer be the defensive coordinator, given what has transpired during the course of the season. That did not happen. So, and I can understand Mullen's point of view. Why would you want to fire a defensive coordinator when in 10 days you're going to be playing a bowl game? Go ahead, let them play it out, and then let's see what happens after that game and make those hard decisions that you have to make. Shane Matthews on last week's show, Thursday, said he didn't feel like Todd Grantham was going to leave the school. I kind of disagree with that. I think that we're going to see Todd Grantham go. I think we'll see John Hevesy go. I think look for a couple of the players to go and look for players entering the transfer portal. We already saw one today with safety Chester Kimbrough put his name in the transfer portal. And from what I understand, we're going to expect more players to leave. Don't be surprised if Marco shoe throwing Wilson. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Bad person I am. I shouldn't even be saying that. A lot of women falling out about Marco Wilson possibly going into the portal and transferring to another school. I don't think that would be the right thing for him to do. Look, the guy made a stupid bonehead decision. He never should have done it. Cost the Gators any chance of playing for the national championship. I get all that. I get the fact that people are upset at Marco Wilson. Okay? But, by the same token, though, you have to ask yourself, I think that for a lot of Gator fans, they be yelling and screaming at Marco, saying that he shouldn't be playing. Marco Wilson actually had a pretty good game against Alabama. As a matter of fact, let me try and pull up his. I want to pull up his numbers if I can find them. I don't have Wilson's numbers in here. I thought they were in here. Punting, field goals, defensively. Wow. Yeah, they missed that page. That's for sure. I have to go back on the Gator website and find out the numbers on Marco Wilson. But the guy played a pretty good game. The guy played a pretty good game. If you really stop and think about it for just a minute, Marco Wilson actually played a pretty darn good game and responded very well after what happened last week. And it was a stupid move. Yeah, it's going to cost him down the road. But considering how the Gators responded after that, and how well they played, given the fact of how far they were down during the course of the game, I mean, I think you got to come away feeling yourself, pretty proud to be a Florida Gator. At one point, they were down 35-17, which was probably the largest margin heading into the second half. They cut it to within 4 at the end of the third quarter, but they just couldn't hold on, and they weren't able to win the game. But I mean, if you look at what they did and how they did it, wow. As I look back on here, I really this is Alabama. Okay, here's Florida. Okay, I got it now, people. My head's straight. He had 3 tackles on the day, 2 assists. He just had 5 tackles on the day. Marco Wilson did. Mohamed Diabate led. Amari Burney led the team with 10 tackles, along with Diabate. Brad Stewart had a sack. Trey Dean had an interception. Brenton Cox had made a football breakup. That was a great play that he had during the course of the game. So it wasn't all totally bad for the Florida Gators. Could have been worse. Okay, they could have come in. The Alabama could have come in here and just whipped our butts off like crazy. But the Gators responded. They responded in a way that I thought that's very good. Okay, and as David Benito comments on us tonight, the shoe toss isn't what lost them the game. It never should have been that close. Okay, David, I'm going to take issue with that. Okay, and Shane Matthews last week pointed that out. But here's what you have to understand. No, you're right. It never should have gotten that. It never should have gotten that far. Okay, if you really stop and look at if you look at it though, at that point in time in the game, okay, you're in a dogfight. Okay. Never mind the fact that it never should have been that close. No, it never should have been, but it was. So in that situation, you guys show poise. You guys show the ability that you can play football. Okay. And Marco Wilson chose to have a bad moment. Okay. And you're right. We won't put the total blame on Marco Wilson because his offense should have played better in the LSU game. Comes back. He responds very well in the process and plays a heck of a game. And as Vince Giraci says, that score was a lot closer than I thought. A lot of people did. If you look back on how they did it and how Dan Mullen came up with pretty much a simple game plan for this Florida Gator team, you look at it, you say to yourself, he did. I mean, I really and truthfully had no problem with the way Dan Mullen's offense ran. Yeah, there was that timeout that he had. He took responsibility for it, but I think that for the most part, I think that this Gator team did as much as they could, and they played Alabama toe to toe as much as possible. Now, they have to turn right around, forget about the championship game, and focus on the bowl game when they take on Oklahoma in Arlington, Texas. That's going to be a fantastic game, and ironically, it's going to be the final game for these seniors at Arlington, Texas, and ironically, it's the same place where it began for the seniors 3 years ago. So kind of a I don't know what you call it, but it's kind of I forget what they call that, but nevertheless, it's a nice way to end it where it began for them. And so now their seniors will play the last game next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN, and of course, I don't know who's going to be calling that game, but that is going to be one outstanding game. And you better believe I will be watching that game. Make no mistake about it. Now, let us get into some other news regarding the Florida Gators. We'll first start off and tell you, and we told you this earlier, and we'll repeat it. Chester Kimbrough, defensive back for the Florida Gators, has announced that he is entering the transfer portal. Claimed that he has not been getting a lot of playing time. And so he is going to be entering the transfer portal. Where he goes, as anybody's guess, and we'll be monitoring that. We'll be monitoring that as well. Now, we've also heard some other stories about possibly Marco Wilson entering the portal, but we'll keep our eyes on that and have some updates for you. Before we sign off for Insider later on in January sometime. Now, before we go on any further, let's bring you up to date on a story that took place a week ago Saturday. Gators basketball forward Keontae Johnson as you know by now, was playing in a game against Florida State in Tallahassee. And came out of a huddle and all of a sudden just fell to the ground face first. Taken to a hospital, put into a medically induced coma. We're glad to say that he's doing extremely well. He's back home. He even posted a message on Facebook. But today, Zach Alberverde of GatorsReports.com is reporting that he's been diagnosed with a season-ending heart issue. So Keontae's season for basketball is done for the year. But still, our thoughts and prayers are going to go out to that young man, and hopefully he'll be able to get better with that. So now some other news that took place today with the Florida Gators centers around a story in which the NCAA put the Gators on probation for a year. What the story centers from is some recruiting incidents that happened over the past year. Basically, what it boils down to this: Mullen was at a school meeting with some players that he was looking at. Another potential recruiter for some time down the road, he came into the room. Mullen was talking to him and encouraged him to become a Florida Gator. Even took pictures with Mullen. Well, according to NCAA rules, that is a no-no. It's like a second degree violation and a third degree violation. Basically, some minor penalties, nothing major. So that's the news that happened today with the Florida Gators. And so Mullen will have to deal with off-season recruiting have to change up his recruiting tactics when they meet when they start with their recruiting sometime in January. So that's the deal that went on with the Florida Gators today. Now, let's get into some other news that happened, not only just with the Florida Gators, but with college football as well. We can tell you that the top 4 teams for the college football playoffs has been announced. They are going to be Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Clemson. No surprise with that. We already knew that was going to happen, but with the playoffs now set, there's a lot of people that are very upset, including Jimbo Fisher of Texas A&M, who claims that they should have gotten in with 1 loss. Which, looking on that, I agree with Fisher. They should be in the playoffs. Why should a team like Ohio State be in the playoffs? Playoffs. Why should a team? That's my great Jim Moore imitation. So, why should a great Ohio State team, or I shouldn't say great because they only played 6 games throughout the course of the year, 7 games throughout the course of the year. Why should they be able to be in a postseason playoff when we have teams like Texas A&M, Florida? Okay, and I know they have 3 losses on the year, but just follow me with this for just a second. Texas A&M, Florida, several other teams who have gone throughout the whole year, and they work themselves, and yet they're not rewarded for playing in a bowl game. I somehow believe that's not right. Okay. There has to be a minimum number of games that has to be played. The playoffs have to be expanded. And I'm going to tell you right here now, the NCAA and the College Football Playoff Committee could have done so much better had they expanded the playoffs to 8 teams. Okay? But that didn't happen. So you have the 4 teams. Alabama will be taking on Notre Dame. Ohio State will be taking on Clemson. Those games will be on New Year's Day, which is going to be 1 week from this Friday. Bowl games are going on right now. So with COVID and everything going on right now, college football postseason it's in high swing. Now, we already had some cancellations with some bowl games. We can tell you that another bowl game got canceled today with the Gasparilla Bowl, as several South Carolina players have come down with COVID. So they're not going to be playing in the bowl game. So that bowl it's canceled. We don't know of any other bowls yet that are canceled at this time. I agree with you. I look. If you're going to play college football, people, you better play a full season. Okay? Gator glass, If you're going to play in a postseason bowl, yes, you better be playing for the whole season, not just 7 games. And the playoff committee really got this wrong. And as somebody pointed out to me, I think they should go back to the BCS. Now, I know that has some major flaws, but see, they didn't put the personal elements in this. With the BCS, this was all computer generalized, and I'd be interested in seeing how the playoffs would have gone down had the BCS been in place for 2020. I would have been very interested in seeing that, and I don't think you would have seen the Florida Gators in the top 10. I mean, that's just my opinion. Okay, and you don't you don't keep a 3-loss team in the top 10. I'm sorry, I'm a diehard Gator fan. I love my Gators, but I'm sorry, but you just don't put a top 10. You don't put a 3-loss team in the top 10. I know they're a great team. I just don't think you put them there. Top 25, yes, but not a top 10. So that's my little rant that I'm going to be ranting on. And I got to tell you, with the college football people, with the way they did this, it's been just horrible. So what happens going forward, it's going to be very interesting to see. Now, let's give you some updates on some things that have happened. Now, we told you that Kyle Pitts has decided he's not going to play in the bowl game. He's going to prepare for the 2020 draft. Good luck to him. He gave it his all at Gator Country. Now he's going to move on to play in the National Football League. Kyle Trask, he's not going to make his decision till after the bowl game. In fact, he's playing in the bowl game next week, which tells me that maybe he's really thinking about staying for another year, which brings into another situation. Would Emory Jones transfer and go, which Emory Jones entered the transfer portal? That's going to be interesting to see should Kyle Trask stay, and I think he should. Okay, Trask is great. I think he's done an outstanding job. He should be Heisman consideration. And if you look at what's been going on Twitter, you see where a lot of talk's been coming out about Kyle Trask trying to get him votes for the Heisman. Okay, but in all reality, it's going to go to either Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, running back for Alabama. I mean, Alabama's a great team. Okay, I mean, tell me somebody that's better right now than the players that I just mentioned. I'll do something here while you think about that and post in the chat. Whoa, sorry about that. But not too many players. I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence. Yes, Trevor's a good player. Haskins of Ohio State. Oh, what's the player's name? What's the player's name? Ohio State, Vince. What's the name? Justin Fields. Yeah. He's a pretty good player, but he has not played enough games. So why would you want to put Fields in there? I truly believe that when it's all said and done, I think it'll be Devontae Smith that gets a Heisman Trophy. But I'm not going to be surprised if Trask's name keeps coming up more and more. So we're going to be following that very easy. Susan Cunningham posts Alabama, and we by the way, let me welcome Susan Cunningham, Davian Benito, Ben Shirasi, others who are here watching me tonight. And Susan said Alabama should easily win the national title. and also points out to say that Fields is overrated. I agree about Fields. I think he is way. I think he is way overrated. Okay, I mean, and that's just how I feel about it. You know, and you're fixing it to. Why am I not on? I have no idea. But yes, I'm on. But I think that a guy like Fields is way overrated. Um, but it poses a question: should 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 you really consider Kyle Trask to be the Heisman Trophy winner? Would you vote? Would you vote for him, knowing the losses that he has? Let me do something here. Let me do something here because oh man, I cannot find it. But there was a stat that I saw here earlier in which Trask had thrown for more yards, had more passing attempts, had less interceptions than Mac Jones. Okay, and even threw more yards, even threw for more yards than Trevor Lawrence. Okay, against SEC opponents, which you all know the SEC football is probably the best in all of college football. I know that other people will have disagreements about that, but that's the honest truth. Um, um, uh, okay, this is interesting. Nick Delatorre, who's a writer for Gators Territory, posted this about James Houston, linebacker for linebacker for the Gators. He was asked about Todd Grantham's future with the University of Florida. Now, this is what he said. I'm quoting Nick here. As a player, I'm not really responsible. It's not really my job to determine my coach for the season. As a defense, this should be a great game for us to put on a show and show what the SEC is all about. Uh, well, I mean, you know, I think I think he's wrong about one thing. That as a player, you are responsible because it's your job to go and play the game that you know that you can play. All right. So don't think that just because you're a college athlete and go out and play that you don't bear responsibility. All right. Now I think that is a wrong take to have. But I mean I look at that and I say to myself, whoa, that's crazy to even think like that. So, wow, I'm flabbergasted by that comment. Excuse me. I mean, a player not taking response. It's not my response. I'm not responsible. What was the quote? Let me read it again. Um, let's see here. I'm going to post this. Let me get to this, and then so I'm gonna do this. Okay. Um, let me see if I can. I want to see if I can post this. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, right here. Okay. So this is what the player said. I'm gonna put it on the full screen. Okay, as a player, I'm not really responsible. It's not really my job to determine my coach for the season. As a defense, okay, this should be a great game for us to put on a show and show what the SEC is all about. Now, this right here is what gets me. As a player, I'm not really responsible. Seriously? You're going to sit here and say you're not really responsible? That you're just a player? I mean I don't know. I mean you're welcome to post comments in here and tell me what you think about this. But I see that and I say to myself, you are responsible. It's your job to go out there and play hard for your team. Okay. And in the end, yes, you are responsible for your coach. You are responsible for how he plays. Okay. So, um, you know, I just think that, um, you know, I just think that if you're going to be that if you're going to be
As a player, I'm not.
I don't know. Go ahead. Suzanne Cunningham agrees with me. A player is responsible for what happens on the field. Okay, it's your job, and if you're not playing and doing your job well, that's a reflection on your coach. Okay, when you go out and you're on the field and you can't line up properly, whose fault is that? Yeah, it's yours. Okay, you bear responsibility because it's your job to get out there and play. Your coach tells you what to do, but it's your job also to get out there and do the job that you are supposed to do. Wow. I I haven't gotten this fired up in a while. Seriously. I wish I had more people on here who seeing me. I mean, but I see that comment and I see I'm not responsible. Okay, maybe I'm taking the comment out. Maybe I'm taking the whole thing out of context. But come on, you know. And maybe that's how this Gator defense has been acting all year long. You're not really responsible for that? Are you serious? Wow. Unfreaking believable. Unfreaking believable. And if this is the attitude of one player, think of what the other players think. Okay. You're saying that Marco Wilson is not responsible for throwing the shoe. Are you serious about that? You're going to tell me and sit here and say that Marco Wilson is not responsible for that? He is responsible. And it costed him the game. Never mind the fact of how our offense during the course of the game played crappy. Okay? And they did. I'll go back and reiterate what I said. Yes, the offense played crappy. Okay? Bingo. Right there. No defensive leadership. Who are the leaders on this defense? Who are the captains on this Florida Gator defense? Do you know? I don't. Sid is right. No defensive leadership, no leadership on the field to tell them what to do and how to do things. That's a reflection on your coaching staff and the way you coach up these kids. And when you're not able to do that, it causes havoc. It causes chaos. It causes problems. Now, I'm going to tell you, the Gator defense did a heck of a job against Alabama. Make no mistake about it. They did. But to the degree, that they're not responsible, I find fault with that. Welcome your comments in the chat room. Make no mistake about it. But I'll tell you one thing. You talk about people taking responsibility, okay? I got a haircut the other day. I look so cute and amazing. How about these boys right here? Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? Now, the night after the SEC championship game, the Falcons were hosting the Buccaneers. So you can imagine the craziness that was going on at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as they were getting ready for that game. And for a long time, it looked like that the Buccaneers were going to be in for a long day. Down by as much as 17-0, the Buccaneers exploded for 21 third-quarter points and in the end were able to defeat the Atlanta Falcons 31-27, placing the record at 9-5 on the year. A win this Saturday over the Detroit Lions, and they're in the playoffs for the first time since 2009. Is it 2009 or 2008? I think 2009. But nevertheless, to see how far this team has gone, it's just amazing. And for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, he played a magnificent game. 31-45 for 390 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day, including a nice 46-yarder to Antonio Brown, his first touchdown reception of the year. And I think you're right, Susan. 2009 was the first time that they played. I'd love to get you on sometime, Susan, talk Gator football. We ought to make plans for that sometime. But 2009 was the last time that they played. And, for this defense, they limited Atlanta Falcons to 332 passing yards. On the day, 369 yards total for the Atlanta Falcons they had offensively, while the Buccaneers have 416 yards on the day. Individual stats, we gave you Brady's numbers a moment ago. Mike Evans had 7 catches. Mike Evans caught 6 balls for 110 yards on the day. Antonio Brown had 5 for 93. Cameron Brate, 4 of 36 yards. Rushing game, Leonard Fournette, 14 of 49 yards on the day. Nothing much from the other running backs. So they really have to have that's a great idea. Give me a thumbs up. Just give me a thumbs up if you want to come on next week, and we'll talk a little bit about the Cotton Bowl for the game next week, because that's going to be on Wednesday. We'll do a show. We're going to do a show on Tuesday. More on that in just a minute here. And as I look around, I'm waiting to see if we're going to have another guest join me. Doesn't look like it, but we're going to keep it here and see if my guy shows up. But we'll do a Cotton Bowl special next Tuesday night. Markets are changed from Thursday. We're going to do it on Thursday because we have New Year's Eve. We want to celebrate with the lovely lady, and of course, I think you guys have better things to do than see this ugly face bring in the New Year. So that's what we're going to do Tuesday night. Susan Cunningham, she'll come on live with us on video. Okay, have to come on video, and we'll talk about the Gators Cotton Bowl and any other news that you think you might be hearing, and maybe we can get Lynn Tyndall as well. Love to get Lynn Tyndall and talk a lot about Gators football. And Lynn is an expert, is a longtime Gator fan, and get him on, and we'll talk about the Gators as they take on Oklahoma. Okay, now we'll get back to the Buccaneers in just a minute. I'm still on my Gator rant. Okay. If you recall, the last time Dan Mullen faced Oklahoma, you got to go back to 2008 when they faced Oklahoma in, I want to say the Orange Bowl with Tim Tebow at the helm. And of course, that's when Oklahoma blew the Gators away big time back then. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be an outstanding. I think it's going to be an outstanding game. And I got to tell you something. I love Lincoln Riley. I don't know what it is about Lincoln Riley, but he's a guy that seems to be down to earth. He has his priorities straight, and really has done an outstanding job. So I really love Lincoln Riley and what he's doing. But back to the Bucs. As we said, they were down as much as 17-0 going into halftime. They come back in the third quarter, get 21 unanswered points, even though Atlanta scores 7. They went into the fourth quarter 24-14, and then they just busted the whole thing wide open and ends up winning the game on a Ryan Suckup field goal with 2:03 to go, and with 3 minutes left in the game, and to seal that game and win it for them. And I love the way the Brady played during the course of the game. I love the fact that there weren't many bad plays. I mean, the Bucs could have played better. They did not start off well in the first half, as Bruce Arians pointed out. They just played a horrible first half, and you were thinking, "Oh my, this is going to be a dead game." But it turned out to be one of the best games that we have seen all year, and the way this Buccaneer team has been learning how to come back. Now, how they do Saturday against Detroit, which first of all, they're going to play. It's going to be a home game, I believe, and we'll get into the schedule and the games that are coming up here for this weekend. But it becomes interesting if they play against New Orleans. When they not New Orleans. They could be playing New Orleans in the postseason. That's going to be interesting to see where they finish in the playoffs. Playoffs? No, the game's at Detroit. Okay, that's interesting. The game's going to be at Detroit. It's not here. So now they travel to Atlanta, come back home. Now they got to travel to Detroit on a short week. Another one of these short weeks kind of deals, which the Bucs should be used to by now. And with the lot riding on the line, it really really makes an interesting point. Will they be at their best? We have not gotten an injury report on the state of the game of who's going to be in, who's going to be out. I've not heard anything, but if everything works out the way it should, everybody should be pretty healthy going into the ball game. One thing I want to look in here, because I know the Bucs and defensively, the Bucs really did pick it up in the second half, as Devin White had three sacks on the day, people. 3 sacks. Okay. And now admittedly, one of the sacks is the fact that quarterback Matt Ryan tripped and fell down. When he fell down, Devin was able to touch him, and that counted as a sack. But still, when you're credited with 3 sacks on the day, you know that you've done something right. Which I wanted to try and find out here. Let's see here. It's interesting, and I'll tell you what's interesting. In the final, when the NFL releases their stats that you see here, look at this. This is the actual stats that they will release. Okay, final team stats and all. Okay, they release what they call play-by-play book, and in that play-by-play has a lot of things like the stats and individual and team stats and all. And I'm trying to find out here how many sacks, and they don't have listed the number of sacks each team has. I find that to be interesting. I never knew that before. Then again, I always find everything interesting, more or less. Huh. That's interesting. Punts, field goals, net punting average, penalties. And by the way, the Bucs had only one. By the way, the Bucs only had one penalty on the day. It was a false start during the course of the day. So kudos to them. They lost a fumble. No sacks. Wow. So I don't remember. I don't remember how many sacks they had during the course of the game. But shoot, what am I doing? I got the play-by-play here. Hang on just a second here. I find that to be really okay. Defensive stats. Devin White had 3 sacks on the day, and Falcons also had 3 sacks on the day. But let's see here. Matt Ryan was 31 of 23 for 235 yards. Let's see here. Oh no, that's that's first half. Wow, I'm thinking, okay, that's 235 yards for the whole game. No, that was in the first half alone. If you go back and you see that game, they just tore up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense like you wouldn't believe. And we say, yeah, he had 200. Brian had 235 yards during the course of the game, which means that in the second half they limited him to 121 yards. That's darn good play by this Buccaneer defense if you really want to get down to the brass knuckles. I mean, they played exceptionally well in that second half, and wow. So, all in all, a great outing by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Detroit game that will be in Detroit, that's going to be a 1 p.m. kickoff time. That's going to be broadcast on the NFL Network. So you might want to tune in and watch that game if you want to see a little bit of football on Saturday. There's some football already going on right now. We told you about what's happening with the bowl games. And as I said, with COVID and everything, they have really started these bowls right now. Now, let's see here. Let me pause. That's good. So they had a bowl game yesterday. They will have practically every night. There's going to be football on every week. Okay. And what's amazing is, like, Florida Atlantic, they play on the 23rd on a Wednesday. They just found this out Sunday. They knew about they found this out on Sunday where they were going to go. So now can you imagine the chaos that goes into that between travel arrangements, getting hotel reservations, given everything that's going on? Because normally by this time of year, they know where they're going to go. They're in town doing all the festivities, but for some reason they're just not able to do it. Miami's going to a bowl game against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State. That's going to be in Orlando at the Cheez-It Bowl. Iowa will be playing Missouri in the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl in Nashville, Tennessee. That's on the 30th at 4 o'clock. We talked about the Cotton Bowl, West Virginia versus Army. Other games, let's see, North Carolina State will play Kentucky on January 2nd. Outback Bowl will have Ole Miss against Indiana. Iowa State will play in the Fiesta Bowl against Oregon. That's going to be a great game. Texas A&M will play against North Carolina. Of course, as we told you, on January 1st, Alabama will be playing Notre Dame in one semifinal game. Ohio State will be taking on how these bowl games are going to be going down. So basically, that's all that's what is really going on right now for the week of the National Football League and with college football. Now, let's give you insight on what's going to be happening next week. There'll be. This is what we expect for next week. Okay, Gators going to be traveling to Arlington. They'll probably leave maybe Sunday, maybe Monday, get there and get ready for the game. Dan Mullen has already given them this whole week off, okay, between Christmas and needing to rest their bodies. Because let's remember, these guys played 12 straight weeks of football without a single break, okay? And what you have to understand is if you not play the game of football, you have no idea what a physical and mental toll it takes on the players, takes on the coaches, takes on the coaching staff. I mean, it's brutal. and how the Gators were still able to play like they have, I'm pretty impressive. So reading some things here through Twitter, not much to even talk about right now, but nevertheless, the game next week against Oklahoma State. Then here's what we expect to see happen. We're going to see some news come out, players going. Do not be surprised if Marco Wilson leaves. Do not be surprised if Kyle Trask leaves, although he has said he's not made a commitment. There's something that tells me that Trask may come back for another year, which he can. Okay, even though he's already got his master's degree in business administration, which he has. Okay, he still can come back for another season if he wanted to, which I think he should. I look at Trask right now as a middle third round selection, maybe lower. Okay, he could use another year to prepare himself for the next level. Okay, now if that happens, then you could see some things happen with Emory Jones. There's a lot of speculation that he could enter his name into the transfer portal, which means Anthony Richardson would be the backup. So, and then we got Luke Del Rio, who's a quarterback with this team as well. So I think we're fixing to see some very interesting things come about in the offseason after the game. But let's worry about that. Let's just enjoy this and get ready for the game next week when they play Oklahoma next week. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of the Animal Football Insider. I hope you, let's see if I can, let me see if I can bring this up here. Okay. Okay. I want to share my audio. I can't bring it up. I don't know why. Okay. Okay. There we go. I'm going to do that right there. So, that's my little Spotify deal. So I want to put that. So we're going to be back next Tuesday night. We've got a semi-commitment from Susan Cunningham, who's a Gator fan. We'll get a Gator fan's perspective, not just on the game, but also some other things. Maybe my good friend David Soderquist is going to join me as well. Oh, man. Come on. Are you serious? Are you going to make me close out my show? Are you serious? Are you going to make me close out my show with you making a comment like that? I am really shocked and appalled by that.
Yeah. Come on, Florida.
Hope y'all can hear that.
You ready for this? Gator Nation. Let's get it.
I want to thank you all for joining me tonight on this edition of the Animal Football Insider. I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. I'm going to kick your butt when I see you, man. Y'all have a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. We'll be back next Tuesday night, 7:30 Central Time. Talk about the Gators. They prepare for Oklahoma. Bucs win, hopefully, in a playoff experience. Appearance, I should. And any other thing. Y'all have a good night. See you all next week. So long, guys.